Welcome back, Planet Zoo adventurers. We are back again here on UK Theme Parks for another Planet Zoo update. And of course, we are loving Planet Zoo. As you may have seen, we have done some massive refurbishment in the park over the last couple of episodes. The first 6 were kind of us getting used to the park, and in us getting used to the park, provided a few learning curves in how we can build enclosures and how we can kind of keep the animals and the guests happy. I think the guests are probably worse than the animals, to be honest with you. And we are back now refurbishing the park and trying to make it look quite simply like a zoo. Who'd have thought? We're trying to make it look like an actual zoo. So, we've seen a lot of people go on about designs and how you should lay out your zoos and, ways of doing things and the best way to hide facilities. And of course, in Sandbox mode, as we said, you can turn all these off. We're not turning all these off. We want to kind of make the zoo as we go, and we want to make sure that we can get all the facilities and everything in without without cheating by turning them off. At the end of the day, I know people want to enjoy the game and you can turn it all off, but we want to make it realistic whilst having the money to do it. It's just like being a millionaire on Planet Zoo. That is the plan. Now then, what we have here is that we are building a new elephant enclosure. So on the right hand side there, you can see the old elephant enclosure, and where we are building now is going to be the new elephant enclosure. And one interesting thing here when we talk about hiding these is that it's quite a big enclosure, so we have got to get a water facility in the middle here. Now, for those that don't know, you can build these underground. As a general rule, we don't build them underground, but you can build them underground. As long as they're out the way and out sight, you can build them under the ground, and we are going to have to do that on this occasion. And then, we'll get a power one under there as well. Might as well get a power one under there as well. And then fill in the hole. And this will be the elephant enclosure. We'll just fill in these gaps where we had those on. There we go. And we'll get a water one back there. Brilliant. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit bigger, arguably, than what we have now. We had to, for those that remember, and for those that were with us initially, we had several attempts at building the elephant enclosures. They needed a lot of space. And in needing a lot of space, we had to kind of branch out the back, we had to branch out the side, and we'd already done quite a few changes and modifications and added quite a lot of buildings in, so it was quite difficult to do that, but we managed it. In all fairness, we did manage it. However, after refurbishing the line area, we need to make the space now that we can refurbish. Ideally, I wanted the elephants to go over by the hippos, but the hippos at the moment are hanging in strong. They're not quite so easy to home. And yeah, we could put them in a trade centre, but we don't want to put them in the trade centre particularly. It might come to the case we have to put one of the 2 juveniles in there while they grow up. So the elephant enclosure can't go over there. So the elephant enclosure is going to come out the back here and be a complete new area of the park. Now, one thing we've noticed when you open an area like this is that if there's existing animals, people don't come flocking over to see it. So the fact there's quite a lot of facility building still around here, we are going to have to, it probably won't be a problem initially for people to come over here and see it. I don't envisage it being too much of a problem. Now, as you can see here, we are going for a very slightly different roof on the front of this. We're curving it off nicely, which is something I've wanted to do. It will give it a different look from the front. It will give it kind of a different feel to it, and we are again going to have a viewing platform as well as a ground platform for this elephant enclosure. Now, this is a slightly shorter episode than what we normally have. This is literally just going to be building and rehoming the elephants before we then demolish the elephant cage which is there, which I can't wait to do. It's definitely in the way, and we will be refurbishing that bit next. So as you walk into Africa, you will have the refurbished lions, and then you will have the refurbished giraffe and zebra house, because that's what's going to be going back there. For those that remember, the giraffe and zebras we have kind of thrown out the back at the old Indian rhino spot after we, of course, moved the Indian rhinos over to the Asia area. So yeah, at the moment they're over there. We've lost a giraffe. I believe we've now lost a zebra as well, so it's literally one of each over there. We'll bring the originals back over once we've built the enclosure, and then we, of course, give them some social interaction as well with some new adoptions. But elephants first. We've got quite a lot of elephants as it is, so elephants first is the key. We'll get this filled in. This will be the front of the building, and yeah, it just kind of adds something slightly different to have something on the front. And we're going to have this as sort of a little office area, if you will, where people will be able to, where the staff can come out and they can, have a little bit of a social kind of area. Although it won't technically be that, because it's up in the sky and there's no need for it. That's how it's going to be themed, with a few doors, windows, and a little bit of washing and things going on. So that's what we're going to be having up here. Again, looking at it from a distance, which is what our guests will be doing. you know, and indeed will be doing when we look at it, that's what it's going to look like. That is what it's going to look like. So we'll get this bit done, and then of course we have a viewing platform we have to get in before we consider moving the animals over. So what we've done with this is we are going to use the null barrier, the invisible barrier, because we've made a massive moat around the outside, which as far as I know, the elephants can't get in and out of, but you know, stranger things have happened, so we will probably add some rock work in as well, because they definitely can't climb across the rocks, so that'll be a key part of that. And as I said, we're going to make this look as, you know, authentic as possible. I don't want to say realistic anymore. I think realistic is probably a strong word. But we're going to make it look as authentic as possible, whilst keeping it relatively simplistic as well. And yeah, you know, a big elephant house. We had a problem beforehand down at the front where we put the elephant house in. It just wasn't big enough for them. We had to put another one in, and they're quite big ones. And again, when you go back and look at this enclosure and you look at the size of it, it's tiny compared to what we're building over here, and you know, the options which they're going to have in coming over. So yeah, you know, we'll get some trees in, we'll get some shelter in from them. They don't mind a little bit of shelter and a few bushes and things, so we'll get those in to hide away some of the bits. And of course you have the elephant plants as well, which are these ones we're popping in now. If they're not suitable for elephants, then we've got a real problem. We've got a real problem. But fortunately they are. So we can get all this in, and we will move an elephant over and make sure that he's all happy. And as you can see, the null barrier around the outside when we've highlighted it, but of course when we come out of it, there'll be no barrier there whatsoever, so it'll just look perfectly open. Now, of course, the elephants can get in and swim, so we will need to put some rock work around. I don't know whether they'll get in that moat. We've made them sort of a... Says he's okay. I don't know what he's doing. You know, we've made them sort of a little pool, if you will, so we don't have too much of a problem. But I know what this game's like, and we've seen that some can get into the bits really easily, and some prefer the lighter water. So we'll see what happens and where the elephant goes. But we can sort out the enrichment things. We can make sure the habitat's okay, and of course we can start moving now the elephants over and deleting this enclosure one by one. Sort out the panda who's just reached maturity. We've got to keep an eye out for that to make sure we don't have any inbreeding. And yeah, here we go. Oh, there's one random one. We'll bring him back over. And, oh, right. So just like that, he's got in there. Now, fortunately, he's not shown his escape because the barrier's on the outside. But I'm guessing he could probably now get up on the left-hand side, even though that's really deep water, and come out. So before we go any further, we are going to put some rock work in to make sure the elephant doesn't escape, because it's just a disaster when that happens, when dangerous animals sort of disappear off and you have to go look for them. So yeah, we'll do that along there, and along the front here, what we want, because we want to have this as a viewing area, we just want to have sort of flat rock underneath, so it's not in the way, to be honest, of the viewing platform, because at the end of the day we want people to be able to view it from the ground a little bit, and then we were going to have quite a big building, I think, across the top. And in having the big building across the top, we're going to have some shops in there just to make sure that the viewing platform becomes very popular. So yeah, he's decided to go for a swim. We're going to remove those bushes because I think that's the kind of the lowest slope for him to come out. I can't believe he's done that, to be honest with you. I actually can't believe he's done that. There's our old age lion. Let's get a lion out. We'll get a new lion in. Yeah, in he goes. Right, so they look quite happy, to be honest with you. We need to put some more enrichment in. We'll put a water thing in for them as well. Just make sure they're all right. Make sure they've got the right trees. There we go. Pop some more trees in around the outside. Could we find a little tree bush that can go in? And we'll be happy. Then, of course, this viewing area which we built at the top here, we want to get some shops in, get some food outlets, get a toilet, probably get an information centre as well as a momentum shop as well. And then, of course, it will drive people up here. So we'll make this a little bit bigger, and we'll have our viewing platform come out. Make sure we've got some educational equipment up here, because the education is very, very important, as we've established. Make sure that everything covers, it just about does. Get some signs in, and yeah, you know, really get this area together and get this enclosure together. And it seems quite a quick enclosure actually we've done here. It's nothing sort of spectacular, not probably as in depth as what we've done in the Asia section. I think actually the Asia theming and options available are far better than what the African ones are in terms of off the shelf. And whilst we could do a more complicated design, you know, at the moment getting them over here is a priority of mine, so we can really focus on the entrance area of the zoo and where people are. And of course, once that bit's right, people will naturally come over here and naturally come and look at them. And we can get rid of the hippo enclosure. Of course, all our flamingos have moved out of the zoo, and we can get rid of that enclosure where the kind of safari skyway area was, and start that again. You know, it's been a little bit of a disaster, that, in fairness. I'll be first to put my hands up. That was a complete disaster, and we don't want to repeat that. So we want to make sure we get it right. If we put a transport ride in, I hear they're still broken, to be honest, but if we put a transport ride in, we want to make sure that you know, it's giving good views and giving good you know, good feedback for the guests. I think beforehand the safari ride didn't get particularly great feedback, and you know, that enclosure, which you can see over the back now, is half empty. The hippo was so big that the viewing area, no one can see it. Yeah, you know, we've learned quite a lot. We've learned a lot in the first few episodes of this game, which we're going to move forward now and kind of rectify. But yes, this is our new elephant enclosure. This is at the back end of the park. What you see in front of it is going to be completely redone for a new giraffe and zebra house. And then once that's done, we need to sort out the hippos, and we can remove the whole of that area and kind of start again. Now the question is, what do we put there? Do we want the hippos back? They do take up quite a lot of space, or are we going to go for something a little bit different? Quite undecided, to be honest with you, at the moment. Quite undecided. You know, there's a lot of African animals in here we haven't had yet, so it might be worth us getting a new species in. And we get a new species in, then potentially we can also drive more people back over this section. But yeah, you know, that's the end of that. We've got a few broken bits as well. We need to put some more security cameras up. So yeah, the elephant enclosure there has gone. We're going to have to remove this bit because, as you can see, we had that pesky water area down there, which is causing lots of problems. Although we have people on the path, if you didn't know, if you delete the path with people on it, the people go back to the entrance and come back into the park anyway. Oh, they moan they're stranded a bit, but we get rid of them this way. So yeah, flatten out this entrance, and next time we are going to be starting on the giraffe house. What did you think? What do you think of our elephant house? Leave your comments below. I hope you join us for the giraffe house next. We're going to try something a little bit different and make it, you know, use some different scenery as well in our African area. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.